Greetings, Cyclopeans. Welcome to Sci-Clops Podcast 12. I had to look down for a minute because I have all these podcast stuff written down. We're at Podcast 12, brought to you by the incredible Call of Cthulhu by H.P. Lovecraft. What a great time to bring that story in for the holidays, right?
Yeah, totally. Family, friendship, death from another worldly god.
Everything completely destroyed. The only thing standing is a broken Christmas tree. Anyway, we're going to go straight into our topics with Tom tonight. What are we going to do? Comics
well,
first?
I'm actually going to start with the big week-long thing. They did the crossover Supergirl, Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, Arrow. I didn't watch Supergirl because I'm 2 seasons in behind at this point, so I'm not going to start. But I don't really see from what happened on Flash, which kind of kickstarted everything. It didn't really seem like anything happened in the Supergirl episode that they were touting as part of the crossover to really start the story
they pushed
off.
this thing like everywhere.
Yeah.
Every website.
And they said that every episode was going to be part of it, and I was kind of bummed that I'd missed the kickoff of it, but really from what I gleaned from the Supergirl's introduction anyway in the Flash episode, it doesn't seem like anything happened with her in the crossover, so okay. So anyway, we start with the Flash, which begins with the alien ship crashing on Earth and the Dominator showing up. And the Dominator, this is actually based off an old comic storyline they did forever ago in DC. And so Barry discovers the aliens have arrived and he can't stop them on his own, so he needs to assemble a team. So he calls Oliver and Team Arrow, and they get the Legends to come back, which I mentioned in the last podcast that the Legends got the call back to go back to 2016.
Okay. They put out a help wanted classified ad like they did.
Yeah, it seems like it'd be kind of hard to get in touch with a time machine, but they found a way.
Be able to whip them right up.
Yeah. And the Flash, that episode was really more about laying groundwork and introducing Supergirl. And I still roll my eyes every time Supergirl's on screen because she's this happy, peppy, friendly, awkward person. I'm like, Supergirl in the comics eviscerates people and doesn't bat an eye. You're not Supergirl.
You're gonna get a lot of flack.
I don't care. It's not Supergirl.
I have a fit over this.
And anyway, so they bring Supergirl in, and they have the first kind of face-off against the aliens, which goes predictably awful.
Awful.
I do like the little training montage they do practicing on Supergirl because she's the most powerful alien they have, so everyone's just kind of getting their butt smacked around by her. And you got to figure, it had to go awful because it's a 4-episode thing.
Yeah.
You can't just go, oh, we all showed up in one. Really, this one kind of suffered a little bit from the whole it has to set up everybody. You have to get Supergirl, then the guys from Arrow, then the guy from Legends. And it wasn't a bad episode. It just, you're bringing 4 shows worth of characters into a single episode. It's going to be a little bit awkward and slow paced.
I'm just laughing here. I'm going to interrupt because I just had this vision where, they could have taken this thing down left field and had a blast with it by throwing in the Power Rangers. They put out
the Power Rangers versus Justice League is a comic.
The Power Rangers would have come in and helped them out and gotten rid of the aliens.
It's not the new movie, which I will talk about later. But it was good. It was a fun introductory episode. We got, everybody's meeting, everyone, sometimes some characters for the first time.
For the first time. It's fun to see them all.
Diggle is still my favorite character whenever a superhero shows up because he's freaked out by all the superpowers. And there's a part where Diggle gets saved by Barry, and Barry runs him off super fast. And the second they stop running, Diggle just vomits everywhere. And so that was a lot of fun.
Joe's kind of freaked by that too, though,
Yeah.
Joe never likes the superpower.
Joe wasn't really in much. Joe was in this episode in Flash, and then he really didn't pop up much else. He popped up a little bit in the... no, it was this episode. It was the same one.
Yeah,
anyway.
You can only put so many people in there.
Yeah. So then we ducktail into the Arrow, which I don't... Well, I guess I kind of have to. So alien abductions occur. So Ollie and a few other people get abducted by the Dominators, which ducktails into the next episode, Arrow, which was coincidentally Arrow's 100th episode.
Which we could have fixed if we had Mulder and Scully.
Yeah. So Arrow's 100th episode is also part of this crossover, and they did a pretty good job of balancing the 2 storylines with kind of honoring Arrow's past. The aliens are trying to probe them for information, so they're in their head. Yep. So Oliver's reliving this kind of false reality, and a lot of characters who are either dead or in various different
probes were in their head
for
these episodes.
Yeah. Deathstroke makes an appearance. We see Malcolm for the first time all season.
Yep.
And it's this fun little montage of Arrow's whole history up until now, and Oliver, getting almost a look at what his life would have been like if he hadn't been on the ship when it crashed.
Yep.
Well, obviously interspersed with the stuff that's going on outside the whole alien thing. So the Arrow one was really good at going back to Arrow's history and kind of building towards the future, but by its kind of very nature being an Arrow-centric episode and the minimal outside plot, it didn't really do a whole bunch to advance the Dominator storyline.
I find this actually a little surprising because from what I see on social media, Barry is the thing. Barry's the one that all the fans are really crazy about. I mean, Arrow, Oliver's obviously, the girls are crazy for him and whatnot, but Barry is like, whoa!
I didn't even think Barry was in that episode. No, he must have been. Yeah, he was
like a little bit. Barry-centric episode, the whole thing. I really thought.
Well, that was the next one. Flash is kind of the leader, being that he brought everyone together. But after, the Oliver and company get free, we go to the final chapter, which was Legends of Tomorrow.
Right.
And Legends of Tomorrow really almost came off as kind of a second Flash episode, given how prominent Barry, Cisco, and Caitlin and all these other guys were in it.
Yeah.
But the Legends, we did get a little bit of time travel-y aspect to it because it's, Legends and they do that. We see Steel get his superhero costume finally. He actually looked pretty cool. And this one was the big, finale. The Dominators were in this one a lot more than they had been in the previous two episodes. We got some really cool fight sequences with everybody thrown in there. Supergirl, Heatwave, Amaya, Steel, Sarah. Everybody came out for the big, hoopla at the end there.
This is classic comic book.
Yeah.
You get everybody together, you build up a storyline, and then you bring in an alien race to attack them all, just like we did with X-Men and
Avengers.
Who came down after the X-Men?
Justice League.
Sentinels.
Coming up. Oh, the Sentinels were X-Men. The Chitauri were the Avengers movie.
Yeah, with an extra race.
The only real problem I have with this is Supergirl. They really pushed Supergirl in this. She wasn't in it that much. And I kind of get why. I mean, she's Supergirl. She would just mow through everybody. Yeah. She should mow through everybody. She's Supergirl.
You think one of these guys did like a kryptonite ball or something?
Well, no, because
slow her down. Or
Supergirl or Kryptonians haven't even come to Earth in Barry or Oliver's universe, so they would have no, But I mean, whenever Supergirl was on screen, she was mowing through people like she should have been, but she wasn't on it a whole bunch, and I don't know why. I would figure that, with this whole big deal about them getting Supergirl on the CW, they'd really want to put her front and center in this, and she wasn't. She wasn't like relegated to a background role, but I mean, she was just kind of there.
I would have actually expected Supergirl to lead this team because she's the most powerful. I mean, she can run as fast as the Flash. Technically, I don't know if they allow her to. I think she's
she's close.
I'm going back to. You know what? They may not let her do this on this show, but in the old days, they used to have Superman and Flash run these races.
Oh, they did a great storyline with that though, where Flash is off to do something, and Superman's running next to him, telling him he's not going to let him do it. And he goes, "You can't outrun me, Barry. We've had races before." And then Flash just looks right at him and goes, "Those races were for charity." And he just leaves Superman in dust. Superman,
Those races were for charity.
Yeah.
I never heard that one.
Yeah, it was great. And so,
if anybody listening out there, let us know if that's in the comics.
Oh, it is.
The number. Yeah, I know it is. Just send us the issue number.
Oh, yeah, I can't remember the issue number or something. I think it was part of maybe the Flash Rebirth storyline.
Into that
Barry comes back to life.
Oh, I love it. Well, I didn't mean to take you too far off left.
No, you're good.
Just have a little fun with it.
But no, the last episode was the real fun, big, everybody in the same episode brawl craziness, and Cisco looks like he's finally getting out of that angry at Barry funk, finally, and it was a good cap off.
That was only an episode or two ago, so.
Well, an episode or two ago in The Flash, but this is a 4-episode long thing, really, so. But it was a fun thing. I mean, the Dominators were kind of these obscure villains they could throw at everybody as an excuse to get everyone to come together. They kind of backdoored a way for Supergirl to show up in the future if they need her. It was a good, it wasn't without its faults, but I thought overall it was a fun
They did what they were supposed to do. They got everybody together. It was a lot of fun.
Big spectacle brawl. Yeah. It advanced some fun storylines. We had to watch everybody kick the crap out of some aliens.
Yeah. Let me ask you a quick question for those who haven't been following this too tight or don't really know the big backstory. The Dominators, are they new? Or have we seen that?
No. New to the TV shows for sure, but the Dominators actually are a thing from the comics.
Okay, I just wondered if they were, and I was not familiar with some of the backstory on this. I was kind of wondering if I missed something there, but I wonder if they're gonna bring in a brand new anti-hero or alien or superhero.
They seem to be mixing and matching, like Savitar. Like I said in the comics, Savitar is a thing, but he's a guy, not this giant mech suited thing. And Reverse Flash is Eobard Thawne, the character of Reverse Flash, is actually Professor Zoom in the comics. Okay. Similar costume, similar power, similar backstory, but Reverse Flash, there's actually been a few. One of them was even Iris's cousin. Or brother.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Family that...
Yeah.
The whole family's in on it.
So I liked it. It was a lot of fun.
Cool.
You know, the effects and the spectacle were a bit higher than normal because, it's the big crossover, so they're pulling out all the big budget stuff. But I think it'll be nice to get back to every show's distinct storyline kind of going forward. But I enjoyed it. And they said, because they always said that once Flash and Arrow were a thing, that there was going to be a yearly crossover every year. And so that this was this year's big thing.
That's a good idea. It makes it a lot of fun. It brings people from, and it's a smart move, show-wise, because it brings people from one show over to the other. Yeah. Although, like you're not catching up on Supergirl anymore, and I've pretty much thrown in the towel with Arrow, not because I don't like the show, but because I'm just so far behind now. I just don't want to. I'm going to stick with Flash and see if I can catch up quick on somebody else. And so you still get a chance to come over and see how their shows are doing, and it's a lot of fun. I'm glad they're going to do the crossover. I really wish they'd sit down and bury the hatchet with some of these other companies and do some multiple intercompany crossovers.
Yeah, it'll never happen unless Marvel and DC in some freakish coincidence ever get bought by the same company.
Somebody's
they've done comics in the past. Amalgam Comics was the thing where they took a DC hero and a Marvel hero and merged their history together. They merged Wolverine and Batman to make Dark Claw, Captain America and Superman to make Super Soldier. There was another really cool. Doctor Strange and Doctor Fate to make Doctor Strange Fate, but I doubt we'd ever see that in TV.
So we're just going to be content with them throwing all the DC characters together. There's lots of DC characters.
There's lots of DC characters. They're building a nice little universe for themselves.
Yeah, good. So we can see these shows stretching out for years.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of different things, and especially with a show like Legends where the cast can rotate in and out, we'll see a lot of characters come to the forefront.
Cool.
So in other TV news, the Inhumans TV show that Marvel is doing instead of the movie that got kind of canned when Kevin Feige decided he got more power, didn't want to do it. It's September 2017 is going to be when the series premieres. Cool. But weird thing they're doing, the first 2 episodes of the series are going to be spliced together to make it an hour-and-a-half movie, and they're going to be shown in IMAX theaters.
So they're going to go back to the theater anyway.
But it's going to be a TV show. But it's just going to be the first 2 episodes spliced together.
I did not hear that.
That
is
It'll be a
cool.
2-week run in theaters, and then it'll premiere on TV.
Too funny.
And it's an 8-episode season, and they haven't said whether it's going to... Well, it'll depend on ratings.
Do you know what that means? That means that we're going to see how it does in the theaters, and then if it doesn't do so hot, we'll stay with 8 episodes. And
well, I'm sure ratings will depend on if it gets a renewal or not. And that's a short... They did that with Agent Carter. Agent Carter was only a 9-episode season, and then it got renewed for season 2 and a season 3? Or no. I think Agent Carter was only 2 seasons. I can't remember.
I got to throw something in here that actually is important to the topic, and it is the fact that you're talking about how this is going to go to the theater first, which does sound like a trial balloon to see how the TV series is going to work. Say we'll go to the theater, and if it has a huge ticket sales, then we'll be happy. We know we can maybe order 16 for the pilot, whatever, or the show. The show, and it's going to be interesting to see how this turns out because the latest news on the cable cutting is very bad. If you are a cable company, the cable subscribers are cutting their cable like mad.
Oh, because Netflix is popping out shows.
Well, there's other reasons too, and some I'm not going to get into on here. But there's The Walking Dead is down massive, and it's the down. And this is an interesting note. It's down the same number of viewers that ESPN is down, and for whatever reason, it looks like, and I'm not a pro at this, but I'm just guessing from what I'm reading and seeing, that people are cutting their cable like mad. So this might affect how these shows turn out later, or unless they jump over to, maybe Netflix will buy them up. Or now the CW is not. Where do we watch the CW? Who's that through? Cable or no?
No, CW. There's an app. Yeah,
that's online. Yeah. So the CW is safe.
Yeah.
At least from American cable cutting, but and I didn't. I didn't mean to take you too far off topic on this, but it is important. Because in a year, we're going to see, at the rate they're going, they will have very few cable subscribers if this keeps up at 500,000 a month.
Well, it's their own fault. They keep producing stuff for Netflix and stuff for Hulu, and, it's stuff you don't need cable for.
It does. And,
why would I watch that?
Amazon.
Luke Cage,
on the game now, too.
My favorite Marvel shows are all on Netflix. Luke Cage,
Netflix.
Daredevil, Jessica Jones, The Defenders, looks like it's going to be awesome. Punisher's getting his own series. Why would I watch cable?
On top of the fact that when you order cable, you're paying mostly right now for ESPN and their enormous contracts, and that's just one of the many reasons, and you got to sit through stuff you don't want. Like in our case, we don't want to see, and this isn't slamming those channels, but I don't want to watch, well, I'm not going to label any channel, name them, but there's a whole bunch of channels I would never watch, and I don't want to pay for it. So give me a choice, and we'll talk. Say, okay, you got to buy 10 channels or something, but it's important because it's going to affect how these shows come out later, how they're going to order these. So anybody got a comment on that or a thought, feel free to kick it in the comments, because there's a whole bunch of other reasons why this is going on too, which I'm not going to get into here. I don't want to take this into a discussion on cable TV, but it is interesting. I would like to see these shows all survive. But Tom, you're still talking about the Inhumans.
Oh yeah, they haven't announced any casting or anything yet, which is kind of odd. So, September is not crazy close, but it's not that far off either. Yeah. It's less than a year away, and they still haven't announced, a cast. Obviously, they've said it's going to focus on the Inhuman royal family: Black Bolt, Gorgon, Medusa, Triton, Karnak, but they haven't announced who's going to be playing any of these guys. Awesome. So we'll see where that goes from there.
It'll be fun. That means it's going to be fun, last-minute announcements. We're going to have a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a lot of speculation.
Probably drop it at Comic-Con or something like that.
Yeah, they probably will.
Really late.
I think that's all I got for TV. Yes. So now I got my weekly comic stuff. So we were just talking about Inhumans, so I'm going to lead off with Inhumans versus X-Men, which is the kickoff issue to the Inhumans versus X-Men event, which is going to be 7 issues, I believe.
Okay.
And it's picking up pretty much right where the Death of X storyline that I just finished reviewing last week left off. There's been a couple major deaths in the mutant community due to the Turigian mists and the fallout with the Inhumans. Yep. And this one, it's the first issue, so it's not action. It's everybody I think it's 6 or 8 months after Death of X, and everyone's they know that it's the calm before the storm. Everyone's kind of getting there, shoring up their defenses, getting ready. And they all say the same thing. We don't want to fight, but we're going to be ready when it happens, but it's so the first one to poke the bear is going to unleash just hell on earth. And Emma Frost is making moves of her own. It looks like she's probably going to be the one to kick the proverbial hornet's nest in this one. And we see what she's planning. We see Magneto's getting in on this. Storm has her team of X-Men just trying to keep the peace and what the Inhuman royal family's up to. And so this is really just more like a catch-up on what happened with Death of X and a little bit of what's coming down the line.
Okay.
And it's not going to be pretty because Emma Frost hasn't showed up in much of the recent comics either, so I don't think this ends well for her. But we'll see where it goes, but I doubt it's going to end happy.
You're going to be putting lines through a bunch of
X-Men characters. They have been,
cross-offs.
Yeah, a lot of cross-offs. And over in the realm of DC, Superman and Batman had their annuals, which is odd because they're every 2 weeks, so really it's only been 6 months, but whatever. The Batman annual, it seems like they do this a lot with Batman annuals or special stories, where it's not really so much a single cohesive story as it is just a series of short tales. So it's like twice the size of a normal comic issue, but it's really broken into like 4 or 5 mini-stories. And the first one was good. It was really an Alfred kind of story, and it was a fun look at the stuff Alfred really does for Bruce behind the scenes, is instead of just like manning the Bat computer and telling him where Scarecrow's hidden the nerve gas or whatever. That one was good, and then from there they just kind of meander off into these cute little onesie stories. Like 2 of them were Christmas themed because it's December, and the Harley one was just dumb.
Oh, you didn't like the Harley one?
No, it was they just went too left field with it, even for Harley. Okay. And so it was okay. I wouldn't really say you have to go out of your way to read it. None of it affects anything that's going on because it's all... Actually, that's a lie. There is one thing they tease in here which got me interested for the next storyline, introducing a new villain into the mix. And I like that, like I said before, that they're introducing a lot of these new villains for Batman and Superman to fight instead of just the tried and true Scarecrow, Penguin, Joker.
Right.
So I like that they tease that, but really it's by and large a forgettable thing full of cute little onesie stories.
Okay.
The Superman annual, on the other hand, I actually enjoyed a lot. And again, the Superman storyline didn't really impact the main current stuff. It was more of just a side thing. Mm-hmm. But it was interesting because this is a Superman from another universe. Yeah. And of all things, the character who shows up for this big issue with Superman is Swamp Thing. And it seems like Swamp Thing has been kind of popping up a lot more. More he's in Hellblazer, which is, pretty standard fare for Swamp Thing, but I don't really think he's had all that many interactions with Superman. And it's really about Superman unintentionally affecting the world around him. And they've done storylines like this before where Superman absorbs sunlight in a weird way and it'll do something to him, like in All-Star Superman. He has to fly to the sun to save a space crew, and that much solar radiation all absorbed at once is actually what kills him, or so they think.
Okay.
So it's this whole wacky thing where he's absorbing sunlight in a weird way because he's from a different universe.
Right.
And Swamp Thing figures it out and is here to help him, and it goes through this whole thing, and the artwork is gorgeous. And it was a nice kind of way to get Superman to really kind of accept the fact that he's not in his world anymore. And he has to accept that and move on and build a new home here with his family and the heroes of this Earth's Justice League. And so, again, it doesn't really affect any main Superman storylines going on, but it was a nice story. And I like that, unlike the Batman one, it wasn't just a series of segmented, one-offs. It was a whole cohesive thing all the way through. And the last comic I have here is Power Rangers, issue number 9.
Awesome. There
and Kyle Higgins has written, I think, one of my favorite comics out right now. Because there's these whole questions you have as Power Rangers watching Kate, like, does Rita really only attack Angel Grove? Or, how do the rest of the world deal with monster attacks? Or if the Power Rangers are walking down the street and they see a bank getting robbed, do they let the cops handle it, or do they transform and kick the crap out of the bank robbers, And so it's a whole bunch of stuff that we get answers to. It's like, no, Rita does actually attack the rest of the world. They actually saved the Prime Minister of Italy in one issue.
Oh, no kidding.
And it's really cool world building for Power Rangers. And the last couple of issues, they've been fighting the villain who they've called the Black Dragon. And he, for some reason, has a very personal vendetta against the Green Ranger, Tommy.
Green Ranger.
And he takes the other Rangers out of commission, but Tommy's powers are safe for the time being. And this issue, Tommy figures out a way to help the Rangers get their powers back so they can get their Zords back and fight the Black Dragon.
Okay.
And it's cool because in Power Rangers, the TV show, you have Rita and her lackeys. And the lackeys are just these dumb, bumbling guys who just do everything she says and really don't have anything to do except obey Rita.
I remember seeing them on.
Yeah, and here we have Goldar's got a whole side thing where he's been punished by Rita and he's locked in the same prison as the Blue Ranger. And you get the hint that Goldar maybe has some plans of his own for how things should be running. And so I like that there's this whole, everyone's getting kind of their own thing to do. And even Goldar is, kind of with the Rangers on. I have no idea who this Black Dragon is. He just shows up one day, tells Rita he can beat the Rangers, and she's all on board with it. That's, I'm supposed to be the one that destroys you guys, not this, outsider. And they finally managed to strike a pretty significant blow against the Black Dragon, but in the process something happens to Tommy and Billy. And they drop a humongous bomb at the end of the issue, like a cliffhanger that you would never see coming a mile away. And I can't wait for issue 10 so they can start explaining this. But it remains one of the greatest things ever in comics for me right now. And it's good to see that the classic Power Rangers are getting their due.
Go Power Rangers.
When the new Power Rangers movie looks so terrible.
Awesome. Can I throw a comic in there? Are you all set?
I'm done. That's my comic stuff for the week.
I've got I've got a comic which I am absolutely crazy about. It's really good, and I just kind of binge read it. It's called Star Power, and it is online, and it is free. And we'll have a link to it here. You'll be able to just click on it. And if for some reason you're driving along in your car listening to this or whatever, just Google Star Power comic. And it's really cool. It's a comic around a young astronomer far in the future living on a space station named Danica Maris. I think I'm saying that right.
Yep.
And it's written by, well, actually she gets the star power. I'm not going to go into too much long explanation here, but she is imbued or given the star power, and she becomes a superhero, and she can fly through space and stuff. And in doing so, when she gets the star power, she kind of reawakens a lot of old rivalries. I can't say that very well. A lot of anger out in the galaxy. A lot of people looking to take it out on the star power from what had happened to them previously, from previous star powers. This whole backstory, and the comic it's online. It's free. You can pick up your own copies if you want through the site. It's written by two authors, Michael Terracino. Oh gosh, I didn't try to pronounce
Terracino. Two C's.
Good Irish name. And also, where is his name here? Garth Graham. So it's Michael and Garth. We'll just leave it at that for now. So Michael's got a last name like I do. It's impossible to pronounce. And they do a fantastic job. It's the art on this is just, I love the illustration on this. It's very
alien designs are very cool.
They got a whole bunch of aliens. They got a really deep. They go heavily into the people around Danica Maris and the background story and all the planets that are involved. They actually take time out in between issues or per issue to tell you, here's the background of the planet we've been talking about. Here's their history. Here's what the people are like. Here's what they like. Here's what people call them, good and bad. They even got like nicknames for them and slurs and slanders and stuff. It's really interesting and who gets along with who. But for me, I really like the character Danica, and she's really cool. And it's easy to read. It's no nonsense, no excessive violence and sex and blood and gore and all that. It's just simple comic, but the illustrations are really, really good. And I'm just trying to bring up something for as we're looking at. I'm showing it to Tom, who has not read this yet, but that's okay. Nope. Tom's got 8,000 million comics he's reading right now, and I'm trying to bring up all this stuff, and I won't be able to show it to him in time. But anyway, it's online. It's free. She gets the star power. People start coming after her, aliens, and one particular guy, really nasty, Black Hole Bill. Black Hole Bill is like really nasty. He's like the Zoom of the Flash. He actually offs a lot of people in this thing, and he's pretty nasty. And so it's a lot of fun watching Danica and fight it off with Black Hole Bill. And then there's another group that comes, and another group, and there's all these different characters that go after Danica. So I am very much in support of this. I just supported a little Kickstarter for their latest issue, and it was we came in a little bit late on it, but it doesn't matter. Their issue did really well, and they've got lots of extras that they got like 199% of their Kickstarter funded or something. So highly recommend Star Power. Easy to read, lots of fun. I can even read it on an iPhone. I'm reading it fine on my iPhone. I really like that when I can read a comic on my iPhone because I'm always on the move with the phone, and I always need time to look down and be able to read something as I'm going. And I don't have as much time. Like Tom, you like the actual physical comic.
Yeah, I like the physical copies.
I would love to do that. I just don't have time as often to sit down and flip.
Hey, I can read an ebook just fine, but I don't know. The comic, I like to have it actually right up in my hand.
It's hard because you don't get the whole page at once unless you enlarge it a little bit. But I don't have too much of a problem with this, the way they got this particular layout. So anyway, Star Power comic. That's what I'm really into. We'll have some links there. You'll probably hear about this a little bit more as we go through the podcast because they update. By the way, This is really cool. Almost every few days, you'll get another page or at least some kind of an update. So that's really cool too. Because they've already had like 2 or 3 new pages since I finished reading this about a week ago. I was trying to get caught up. So without further ado, now we'll jump into what do you want to do? Movies or shows? Movies. Yeah. Okay, let's do some movies here.
Well, in other superhero news, Aquaman has a firm release date now, October 5th, 2018.
Yeah, I saw it. Now that was something I wanted to mention because they got kicked all the way to October.
Yeah, they've had trouble with this one, like nailing a director down and getting it, but it looks like they finally at least settled down a little bit and got a firm release date, which is nice because I think Aquaman is going to be one of the more interesting Justice League members to tell a story on.
It's an odd time though, October.
Well, not really. November was Doctor Strange, and that did gangbusters. It still is.
He's like the first one out of the starting gate for the Christmas season, but October is kind of like the in between. The summer right before school blockbusters are right in school, and then the Christmas season. So I'm kind of nervous about this. You
No,
see it a different way
It's
than I do.
2 years
I'm
off,
worried.
so the date could still change. They
Yeah.
can move them up, move them back. But at least now they've at least committed to something. We always just kind of heard
Yeah.
2018 without really
Yeah.
any kind of thing behind that.
No, I apologize. I had heard that it was going to be in like June. So
It was originally, I think,
It's gonna be-
July was
July.
the
It was
original
going to be a
kinda-
big date,
Yeah.
like a big summer drop, and then they just said
So
no.
we'll see. I think the Flash is supposed to come out the same year, so maybe they want the Flash to be the July movie or something. But
I'm pumped for Aquaman.
I think it'll be
it's
really
gonna
good.
be
I think the casting of Jason Momoa was fantastic. I think they reinterpreted him in a way that works because I think as a comic character, the bright orange armor and the green pants, it works because it's the whole nature of the comics universe. But I think if they tried to translate that costume into real world, it would come out really bad.
Well, like where Wolverine goes, they go, "Oh, we got costume. What do you think we're gonna wear?
Yellow spandex. Yeah.
Like, that's great.
Which, so I think they redesigned him in a way that makes him look like a total badass, and he you do not want to mess with him. Even on a team that has Batman on it.
What's interesting about the movie too, if you look at the what we've seen so far, is they've gone completely away from the bright colors of Aquaman, and Aquaman's a bright colored comic with marine colors.
Yeah.
And this
Bright
one
orange
is
green.
gray and black and
A little bit of gold in there, but not
stormy marine colors.
Which I think a lot of people, Zack Snyder doesn't like bright colors, which is true. Zack Snyder does not do bright colors in a movie.
You get the impression it's going to be a dark show.
It's going to be a dark show. That's why I wasn't that big a fan of Zack Snyder overseeing the entire universe, because he's a fine director, but like you said, Aquaman is these crazy bright neon colors.
But
Even
Momoa is not a crazy bright neon type person either.
I think if they had gone a little brighter with it, not much, but a little brighter with it, but kept the same. I think the costume itself looks great.
Yeah.
I don't think they need to change the costume at all. But he is. It's
look
very
at who he's played.
dark.
Momoa is Conan, and then what's his name from?
They
Game
even
of
did
Thrones.
it with Flash. They made him less red and more really dark crimson.
Yeah.
Which is, again, it's fine. It's not like they made him blue or something,
Right.
but again, he's very dark, muted, and the Flash is another one of those big, bright characters. But I get it for a realistic kind of look. I guess it makes more sense. But I was kind of looking forward to maybe, especially Flash having that crazy scarlet blur as he runs around. But no, it's good. Aquaman finally has a firm release date. They also recently confirmed that Willem Dafoe, who is going to play one of his advisors in Justice League, will also appear in Aquaman, the solo film. I would be assuming Amber Heard, who's playing Mira, his wife, will also be appearing in the movie itself. No word yet on who the villain is going to be. They've got a couple they can go with.
Gotta be Black Manta.
You can go with Ocean Master, Black Manta.
I would bet money on Black Manta.
Black Manta's a safe bet. They maybe want to start off with Ocean Master. Maybe, because the whole thing with Atlantis is they do not like mixing with the surface world if they don't have to. And Ocean Master, I believe, is Arthur's cousin who tries to steal the throne once Arthur starts trying to mix with the surface relations. So maybe they, because of Arthur making Atlantis known to the public, Ocean Master says this is not how things are done and goes after him. So,
but let's look at the DC history. With Spider-Man, with Superman, they brought out Luthor almost immediately.
Oh yeah.
With Spider-Man, they brought
Well, that's
out
the thing.
Green Goblin
I don't really know if you want to go straight to the main villain right out of the gate, because they did that with Spider-Man. They killed him. They killed Green Goblin right in the first movie.
Who else do we have? Now, Wonder Woman, we don't know yet.
Wonder Woman, that's going to be interesting. I think
not Cheetah.
Rumor has been maybe Ares.
Okay.
Which would
we
make
don't
sense.
know. We'll see.
Yeah.
They go right to the top. But DC has tended in the past, correct me?
Well, Marvel movies or comic movies in general tended
right to the
go
top.
straight to the.
And this is another reason why I think they're going to bring out Black Manta, because it's a big roll of the dice for him too. In the first movie, they got to have it win, and they got to have it go right to the top. So I would be
we'll see.
very.
I'm leaning. I'm betting it probably will be Black Manta, but I'm just saying there's a couple possibilities. But
and
you
got a great point. I mean,
Yeah.
hey, maybe we'll do Ocean Master. I just tend to see it from a ticket sales point of view. And I'm thinking, Aquaman and Black Manta. So just for fun, Tom and I are kind of having like a friendly debate on this one to see what what's going to happen. Can't wait to see who it is though.
I'm excited. I think once we get into the movies that Jeff Jones had his hands in, or Jeff Johns, sorry, I said Jones. Once we get into the ones that he's really been able to get, his tendrils into and kind of influence them, I think we'll see a lot of uptick in quality because, Jeff Johns has just a laundry list of stuff he's done at DC. He knows that. He's like their version of Kevin Feige, basically. And I don't know how much he'll be involved in Justice League because that was pretty well underway by the time he got involved. So I think Justice League will probably still be pretty heavily Snyder-based, but Wonder Woman he was really into, and that first trailer dropped, and you could tell this is going to be awesome.
I think it's going to be fantastic.
And so I think once, he gets his way and kind of gets things on track for, okay, this is a comic movie, we don't need to go super dark and dreary with it all the time. Yeah. And kind of, I think we'll see a lot of changes made in a positive way for things. Cool. I think Aquaman will probably be the beneficiary of that. Flash will be the beneficiary of that, and all the other DC movies moving forward. In other movie news, I was talking about how the Power Rangers movie continues to disappoint me, and the trend keeps on going. They released concept art for Alpha.
Oh no!
And it just looks awful.
You're bummed.
At
least you got the comic.
Oh my god, that's what I mean. Yeah, that's as bad as this movie is, the comic will keep going. And when the Power Ranger suits came out, I was less than happy. When I saw the trailer, I was super less than happy.
Oh no!
And then I saw the concept art of Alpha 5. I'm like, are they gonna get nothing right? Are we just gonna not even try to?
Funny.
There's here's the dartboard of what the classic Power Rangers is.
Yep.
They're just the darts are just they're in the wall, they're in the door,
in the ceiling,
they're in the ceiling, the light
they're
bulbs,
busting off.
They're just nothing.
Yeah,
nothing is going right. With
oh
this
my
thing.
god, poor you.
You're
such a Power
so
Ranger.
bummed.
Hey. It's not just you. Power Rangers have a huge
fan base.
So
I'm gonna go see the movie because I'm gonna review it for us. But
I want to hear what the listeners are saying about this. Because I know there's a bunch of you out there who listen to this who are big Power Rangers fans. And I just came back from Rhode Island, and there was a lot of Power Rangers there. So I want to know, what do you guys think of this new Power Rangers drop? Do you like these costumes? Do you like what we're seeing here? Is Tom right? Don't beat up on Tom.
I am right.
Tom is right.
There are two ways to look at this. My way, which is the right way, and your way, which is the wrong way if you like this trailer.
So you've done a nerd throwdown here.
I have, because
it's a total nerd throwdown.
Power Rangers is this campy, ridiculous thing. And I'm okay with infusing some real-world drama to make the characters, feel more real and grounded.
Okay.
And it's not like I'm saying they should replicate the insane goofiness of the '90s show down to a T. I think that would just be weird at this point. Yep. But they like Batman Begins did. It's super dark and drama filled, and they kind of imply that Jason may have hit somebody with his car and killed him. And I'm like, Jesus, it's Power Rangers. Yep. Can we not throw implied manslaughter into this?
Funny.
And so I don't know. The more I see this whole thing, I'm just getting
you're
sadder and sadder.
Oh no!
And I'm just I don't want to talk.
Let me throw something in there to see if I can bring you back up to. Well, actually, no, this isn't going to bring you back up to speed either or happy again. I am looking right now. We have got on. We reported yesterday on Sci-Clops that the Escape from New York,
which has been in development for ever.
Tom and I are fanatics.
The comic series is good too.
We love Escape from New York, and I grew up on Escape from New York, and I just love what Russell does there. I think that was a great standalone. They're talking about a prequel / remake, the rumors, and I'm like,
I'm okay with a prequel.
I'm not.
I wouldn't be cool with a remake.
I'm not. Remake, no. Absolutely not. This is another movie that you just don't touch.
Yeah, it was perfect.
Done, and it
was great.
Nothing against. Well, I don't want to get in this. It seems like I bring this up a lot, but the Ghostbusters remake was just, what the heck would you do that for? That was a perfectly done movie, and everything was fine. So let's remake it. And there's so many ideas out there. And if you're going to do another Escape from New York movie, you should have done another one in a series where Russell's an older guy, like you're doing with Logan. If you're going to do, Kurt Russell is Escape from New York, and I put that in the article.
He was Snake.
And to do a prequel, you're gonna have no Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
Unless you do it in a cameo, which is stupid, because I don't want to do a cameo. Maybe some guy talking somewhere, but then he's not Snake Plissken. Kurt Russell is Snake Plissken, is Escape from New York, and the whole thing. And I did a kind of a screen on this here, but the whole thing about Escape from New York is it's about Snake Plissken. And everybody gets off except Snake Plissken and the president.
Every time.
And then they did that silly Escape from L.A., which I think was forgettable.
Forgettable. I try to.
Silly. It was, they did it at the time with all these inside jokes with, who was it? God, I can't think of the name. Was it one of the Fondas surfboarding on the
Peter Fonda.
Peter Fonda, and I was like, oh my God! And then they had the joke about the plastic surgery area in Beverly Hills.
It was Bruce Campbell.
Yeah, with
of
Bruce
all
Campbell.
people.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it was silly, and I thought they kind of like took it a little over to silly land on that one.
Yeah.
And I don't even really remember much about it. But this one, the original had the great music, the great story. It's a story.
Yeah.
It's a cheaply done movie with not a lot, almost no special effects, almost none.
Yeah, it's all practical.
It's a
Yeah,
story.
just a couple explosions here and there,
and the plane landing on the
plane landing and
the
the
World
plane
Trade Center,
taking off. Yeah,
and that's it. And you really don't have anything else. You've got a great story, which is what sci-fi does. It takes a really cool story.
well, it wasn't even sci-fi. It was just kind of dystopian future.
Yeah,
little,
dystopian for sci-fi. I mean, whatever. It depends on your definition, but
yeah.
But I'm just looking at this and I'm thinking, oh no, we're gonna do this again. And there's so many things you could do.
Well, I'd rather them do a prequel if they're going to do something.
Well,
a prequel than a remake, because there's a lot of stuff you can do with Snake.
I'm with you on that. No remake.
Yeah,
Zero.
they could even end the movie with him getting his eye blown out or something, and explaining why he's got the eye patch.
Yeah, but who's gonna play him?
Yeah, I don't know.
Who could play?
Well, he's got a kid who actually does look kind of like him. I mean, he'd have to get a little beard, but
You know who could actually almost play? You know, looks. I'm gonna get a lot of flack for this. Schwarzenegger's kid.
which one? His actual kid or the kid with the maid?
One of the kids he's got is a little bit of a. But you can almost put him in there. But I'm trying to think who else could we put in there. I didn't even think about this. You guys throw some ideas on the comments, will you? I want to know what you listeners think about playing a
Scott Eastwood. Oh, Scott Eastwood could do it.
Snake Plissken.
If you grew Scott Eastwood's hair out, he could totally do it.
I'm not into a remake at all.
No, I don't want a remake.
Prequel or number 3.
Prequel.
Let's just forget about
3,
number 2.
I guess. Yeah.
You know, he blew out the whole grid in the Earth in the last one, and so now who knows what they can do anything with it. They go anywhere they want with number 3.
I actually love the comic series because the comic series basically straight up ignores Escape from L.A.
Yeah, it should.
It picks up right where Escape
we ignore Alien 4.
Right? Yeah, the comic series picks up right where Escape from New York ends and then goes off on its own story.
Right. Yeah.
And it just completely ignores Escape from L.A. And I'm like, that was the smartest thing you could have done.
I just love Escape from New York. Like I said, it was a great story, great music, great acting. Everything was good and really dark. And just, whoa, that ending, like, oh my God.
The Duke of New York, A1.
Yeah. And you know, the whole idea that you could really go any direction you wanted with this thing, and they took that second one and went, like, let's make it silly. I'm like, oh God. So anyway, we're gonna jump back into what do you?
That might be it for me in movies, but I have plenty of other stuff. I think that's it for movies. But video game stuff is pretty big because the game trailer or the Game Awards were pretty recent. They don't really have news on this one so much as this kind of sales thing. Final Fantasy 15 came out November 29th. Mm-hmm. And that is, I'm looking forward to that. I haven't gotten it yet, but I'll probably pick it up soon. But day one, 5 million copies shipped.
Wow.
Or sold.
Oh, yeah.
Day
Final Fantasy 15?
Yes.
Yeah. I put a note out about that. Wait a minute, I had a...
And to put that in perspective, Halo 5...
Yeah, here it is. 15 million.
Yep.
15 million total. That was 2 days ago.
Yeah. So day one, it was 5 million. To put that in perspective, Halo 5, 5 million in 3 months.
Wow.
Halo 5, one of the biggest Xbox franchises of all time. Now, granted, Final Fantasy is on Xbox and PS4, so that kind of helps. But still, 5 million day one.
Do you know what's really cool? I told you this the other day, but the other day we were here at the Sci-Clops bunker office, and
penthouse.
We had the penthouse. The penthouse, top of the tower, and we had some connection troubles with the internet, and if you go online and you look to see where the connection issues are coming from, they actually use these games as templates to find out, or not templates, as examples. I can't think of the word. Was it?
Barometer.
Barometer. Thank you. It's a big word. I can't think of it.
I went to school.
You'll actually see stuff like some of the big sites, but then in the other connections that they're watching are Final Fantasy and Halo and Call of Duty and
Overwatch.
These things are so big,
they're huge,
that they actually control the way the internet works sometimes.
Well, think about it. You have how many billion people playing video games
constantly. I mean, anytime I go on World of Tanks, I'm in a queue with dozens and dozens and dozens of people in line waiting to get in. So, did that happen for you guys on Final Fantasy and stuff like that?
But yeah, stuff like Overwatch, you wait you'll queue into a game.
It's usually
and
fast.
Yeah,
it's usually
they want you playing as quick as possible. But yeah, sometimes you can see how many people are in a particular mode with you.
But it's just amazing to think that in 15 million out of the gate, and how much a piece. And you wonder,
$60.
It's amazing that they haven't done even more with this. They still seem.
It's funny because I don't think Final Fantasy 13 did bad. I think it just did kind of par for the course.
Yeah.
And then the 14 one was only on PC, and I think recently came to consoles. But it was
which is a head scratcher considering how this one's doing.
No, it's an MMO. So MMOs are only on PC. So it's like Warcraft.
That's right.
And nobody really likes paying a monthly fee.
Were they kind of biding their time, throwing we'll get 14 done?
They might have been. 15's been in development for a long time, and there's anytime a game is in development for a long time, you kind of worry it's going to turn out like Duke Nukem or Aliens: Colonial Marines. And
now we know
completely
it
sucks.
Great,
That's what people are saying. They're like, I can't believe how, and it's getting good reviews, and it's obviously selling like hotcakes.
Or what was the game that just went down in flames because it was in development for a while. The art looked great, and then they put it out, and it was like No Man's Sky.
Oh yeah, I haven't even played that.
I was so hyped for that because just for the art.
The
art looks great.
The new update looks like it's kind of cool, but I'll
too late.
Yeah,
they burn their fans. You can't do that. You can't come out and burn your fans and then expect them, especially geeks and nerds who are angry people and video game playing geeks and nerds, some of the most angriest of all. And I'm not slamming them. I'm just saying they're tired of being burned. They don't like it. They put a lot of money up for this stuff, and then they turn around and they get burned. They just go crazy.
Oh, yeah.
And they have internet access. Don't tell them this because they're going to go into every one of their friends and this thing sucks.
The internet is a kind and forgiving place, said no one.
A warm, friendly place for family activity.
Well, now into actual news for video games. The Kojima, ever since leaving Konami, he's been trying to get his own studio off the ground, and Death Stranding is going to be his first offering as his new studio.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Before he left Konami, they were going to do a remake, or at least a kind of a sequel to Silent Hill, called Silent Hills, plural. And it was going to be starring Norman Reedus, who plays Daryl Dixon in The Walking Dead.
Okay.
And it was also in conjunction working with Guillermo del Toro. And you say, Kojima and Guillermo del Toro and Norman Reedus on the same game, your head's going to explode from like that much awesome in one thing.
Yeah.
And then
with Norman Reedus in there too.
Konami, in typical Konami fashion, decides to cancel the project.
I see they've been hanging out with Fox, huh?
Yeah, and Kojima just decides, screw this, I'm done, and he leaves.
My God.
He quits, and Kojima really built them a lot of their fan base because he created the entire Metal Gear franchise.
Yeah, his name's hot.
And so he left, he's creating his own studio, and his first thing now is kind of Death Stranding. And Norman Reedus is in this again as the main character, and this looks like it is out there. I mean, like way out to left field, crazy stuff. Good. And it's good because in a world of video games where you can almost kind of predict what each game's going to do, it's nice to have something really hit you from out of left field.
How about new technology? Are we going to see any there?
I don't think we're going to see anything new tech-wise, but it just looks like it's going to be this weird game that I can't put a definition on what genre it's going to be because it's just a weird thing.
That was the gist I was getting from reading online. Yeah. They were like, oh, this is going to be really cool. What is it? Well, I don't know, but it's going to be really cool.
Yeah. And now we have confirmation that Guillermo del Toro is working on it with him again still. And Mads Mikkelsen, who anybody will know as Hannibal.
Doesn't say anything good for who he left because he took everybody.
Yeah. Who played Hannibal, and he's he was in Doctor Strange as Caecilius, and he's going to be in Star Wars as Galen Erso.
It's a big lineup.
It's already. A humongous lineup, and I just cannot wait for this game to come out. I think probably 2018 we're going to see this thing, so it's ways off.
It's fast. They can get those little developers the right code.
Yeah. Well, no, that's the thing. Kojima usually likes to take his time with games.
Yeah.
It's nice. I don't want to.
With those kind of names, it's going to be hot.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome. And in the other side of things, TellTale, who has been making fantastic games pretty much nonstop since they started their series franchises like Walking Dead, Wolf Among Us, the Batman one is out right now. They've announced their newest project is going to be TellTale Guardians of the Galaxy. So now they're jumping into the Marvel side of things too with Batman. And it seems like TellTale is like they have to have. I would not want to work there because they have to have they're just pumping coffee into you through an IV to keep you going. Because they've got 8 series up in the air at once. They haven't even finished Batman yet. Batman still has 1 episode to go. they're working on The Walking Dead Season 3, which is coming out at the same time. They've said they're going to do a sequel to Wolf Among Us at some point. They just, Game of Thrones one they did was pretty recent. I'm like, do you people just, like, burn somebody out and then just replace them on the assembly line when you're done? Because they never stop pumping stuff, which is great because I love their games. The Wolf Among Us is my favorite one they've done.
I've heard stories about these guys that just, like, they come in on cots and they just collect.
Oh, yeah, I believe it. TellTale never stops working. And it's cool because, like I said, TellTale is really different. It's this kind of, you're dropped into a world and it's really more of exploring it and the consequences of your choices, and it's more of a story-based thing than it is an action thing, and I love that because you can play those games 3 or 4 times through making different choices each time and get a different story every time. And I said The Walking Dead Season 3 is coming out, and they're going to release the first 2 episodes at the same time, which is a big change-up from pace than usual. It's going to be following Clementine again. It's set, I believe, some years after Season 2 ended. Okay. So this is cool because we're getting a kind of a time skip in the Walking Dead universe. So it's, the apocalypse has been going on for a long time now. So I'm excited. I think TellTale really hasn't made anything I've ever played that I've been disappointed by. So I'm looking forward to that.
Okay.
Halo Wars. I talked about Halo earlier. Halo Wars 2 is coming out either February or January 2017, so not that far off. And the big new thing they just said is if you pre-order the Ultimate Edition of Halo Wars 2, you get a remaster of the original Halo Wars this December. So December 20th, I believe, that would be coming out.
Trevor's going to be loving
and,
this. We have a mutual friend, or Tom's friend, actually, Trevor. And
we're Halo.
He is Halo.
We have probably beaten Halo campaigns. The original Halo campaign 15 or 20 times together at least.
Do you ever want to lure Trevor? You put a Halo game on a hook with a string on it and pull it along. And at the end, Trevor will be coming along. But
I thought Halo Wars was fantastic. It's nice to see a franchise can do more than be a one-trick pony. Halo is this big first-person shooter. Halo Wars is a big, RTS strategy game where you're managing armies against, other armies and things. And I love the first one. I will definitely be getting the second one. And the fact that they're going to re-release one with all the DLC, all the stuff it came with post-game, with updated graphics, we'll probably be definitely getting the Ultimate Edition of Halo Wars 2. And I can't wait for early 2017 to get around.
Awesome.
And... I forgot a movie thing. I forgot Sebastian Stan, who plays Bucky Barnes in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Winter Soldier. He posted a very interesting picture on his Instagram account. He's walking down a hallway with a shield on his back with the Winter Soldier symbol on it, saying, thanks to whatever studio made it for him, this is going to come in handy. And that should instantly set any comic nerds' alarm bells off, because Bucky Barnes, as we all know, at some point in the comics, replaced Steve Rogers as Captain America.
Right.
And he did get the shield, and he did have his own Captain America outfit. But it's interesting because, like I said, the shield had the Winter Soldier star on it, and it was all silver aside from the star. So that's interesting because in the comics, Bucky literally used the same shield that Steve had. And there's the deleted scene in Civil War where Bucky uses Steve's shield.
Cool.
And then he says, man, I got to get me one of these. So
that's got one. So
well, that's the thing. The studio that makes the prop that made the prop for him, I forget the name, which they're not actually one of the Marvel Studios officially licensed prop guys that they get stuff from. So maybe Sebastian Stan just wanted a Bucky shield and bought one.
That'd be dirty to do that.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That would be a
trick.
That would be so mean if it wasn't true. But he could have just wanted a Bucky shield, or it could be a sign that maybe Bucky is gonna kind of step up.
I would be surprised if his agent let him do that with a tweet. Say, hey, guess what? This little hint might be happening, and then it doesn't turn out to be. There's gonna be a lot of angry nerds out there.
We'll see.
I forgot something too, and I want to throw it up really quick. Yesterday I was noodling around on Instagram looking at the sci-fi art, which is absolutely fantastic. Did you notice the sci-fi art on Instagram is
fantasy art?
I didn't know.
Fantasy art is fantastic.
Just the art is wow. I mean, I didn't know there was that kind of stuff out there. It's so good, and we've covered a few of them here. And I'm going to try to take some time to try to get more artists out on the site because they're so good. And you'll see the stuff on Instagram, you're just like, my gosh, this is really good stuff. Stuff I could never touch. I don't know how many hours they put in these paintings, but they're so detailed and so amazing. And a lot of them are different. There's a lot of new concepts coming in. So anyway, that being said, completely different. I found this thing from Alien Covenant, official site. And This is all it is. It's a barcode, and we've got it up on the site, and it says 20 days. And it came out 10 hours earlier, and I was like, what's this? And so
the barcode. Oh, no.
The comments are, we think there's going to be 20 days to a trailer.
That would be interesting, and I think I know what the barcode's about.
Yeah, and nobody's talking about this. I put this up on the site.
Yeah, that's the first I'm hearing of it.
Nobody's talking. So I got the scoop on this. I got the scoop. And if you
let the record show.
Let the record show. I'm telling you
December
right now.
December 3rd, I have 7:15 p.m.
I saw every single page on the internet today. I finished the internet today, and it wasn't anywhere but on Sci-Clops' site. Okay, let the record show.
Well, I think because anybody who saw Prometheus, the robot David,
right?
I think they all have the barcode.
They get the barcode, yeah.
And the rumor is maybe that he'll actually be doing a dual role in 2, and the other crew that comes to find them will have a David with them as well. So maybe it's a reference to David.
If they're pushing the barcode as the one thing they want everybody to see with 20 days to go, what could that mean? That's a big deal because it's just the barcode.
It's just the barcode.
That means we're being taken into this area and being told barcode means big.
David, David from Prometheus, he was obviously sent there to kind of discover what these things are.
Right.
And we know Alien Covenant is going to take place, I think, a few years after Prometheus took place in movie time-wise, at least. So David's, I'm betting, still been doing his research on the engineers. Yeah. So,
and we know from the pictures we've seen, the engineers are in it, and there's a lot. Well, we know.
Did you see that one they posted?
Yeah, with
the cockpit.
Yeah, with the actual cockpit. I was like, oh, awesome.
You know what's going to happen there.
Yeah.
And if you haven't,
nothing good.
If you haven't seen Alien,
not for them.
go watch Alien, and you'll understand what we're talking about.
If you haven't seen Alien, you better get moving.
Well, if you haven't seen Alien, first of all, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, if you haven't seen Alien, you really need.
The only excuse for not seeing Alien is if you're like 15.
No, you should have seen it by now. You should have snuck down and seen it.
Oh my God, I think I remember seeing Alien around when I was like 13 or 14.
Yeah. And it's probably one of the premier science fiction movies
fantastic.
Ever made.
And so, it like Terminator, not only had a sequel that wasn't so awful, the sequel was in some ways even better.
And like Terminator, it also set the bar for a real lot of sci-fi. And here it comes, because I always have to insert this, but this is why I like Alien so much, Lovecraft. And you can see Geiger was very Lovecraft.
Geiger must have needed some heavy meds to sleep at night.
You ever look at his art books?
Oh, it's terrifying.
Oh my God. It's terrifying. Like he looked into hell.
Yeah.
And that's what you would think you would see in hell if you saw some of the things that he had written or he had drawn.
Well, it's funny. They actually showed I think you showed it to me. The screen test of the guy playing the alien in the first movie with like just the head on.
Yeah. Remember that? He's coming down the hall.
He's coming up the ladder.
Up the ladder, yeah.
Ah!
Oh man, we should try that. I got that on the site. I'll try to link to that here too, because it's really cool.
Just the head on, even it
Alien
was terrifying.
Fans will love it. It's really he's in the suit and he's got the head on, and it's just this, like you said, it was a test
thing coming out of the
spooky.
Speaking of testing, fun stuff. Like, did you ever see the footage of what the original Predator looked like?
No.
Oh my God, you will laugh.
Is it as bad as Star Wars?
It's the least scary thing ever.
Yeah, when they first had the Star Wars?
Yeah. Not only that. Okay, so their original concept of the Predator would be the cloaking thing would still be a thing, but it was going to be played by Jean-Claude Van Damme.
I remember that.
Van Damme was actually on set for a while testing the suit.
I recall that.
And the whole shtick would be that this thing would stealth kill everybody and be like kind of like an inner space ninja. It would, have martial arts moves and pick people off one at a time. And so it would be this big Bruce Arnold versus like the deadly ninja space warrior kind of thing. And then Van Damme kind of flipped out because they said, yeah, we're not going to promote, we don't want to promote it as you're in the movie because you're going to be in the suit the whole time. And so I'm going to be an uncredited special effect for the movie. And they're like, yeah.
And at this point, his career is really coming up fast.
Yeah, it's 80s, so Van Damme was still pretty hot. So Van Damme, like, all right, forget that, I'm out. And then they're like, okay, we got to come up with a new idea. And that's when they eventually came up with the new Predator look.
Cool. I did not know that's why.
And they actually have footage of Van Damme in the suit, like, on set. And it's you got to see it. It's something.
Oh, that's funny. And, well, I was laughing when you said that because I didn't know. I've never seen that. I can't wait to get a picture of it. And it reminds me of is it Ralph McQuarrie? When he did the Star Wars art, the originals.
Oh, yeah.
And, the
Luke Starkiller, and you're like...
Luke started Chewbacca
Like
was
he was
odd, and
Luke was like an old man.
Yeah, it's funny, to see. It's always interesting to see
Well,
where they
the
came
one thing
from
I think
to
I
do
gotta find this for you somewhere. They actually released a graphic novel of the original idea for Star Wars, where Luke is the old general, kind of deal, and Darth Vader's got a whole different crazy look to him, and so they it's out there somewhere. I gotta find it, but it's so crazy to watch what this stuff started off as.
It sends chills down your spine because you're thinking, this could have gone this direction.
Yeah, you're like, thank
And it would
God.
be one of those things that, like aficionados would talk about today, like, oh yeah, I saw that once. It was really awful and it was hysterical, but instead it turned out to be
fantastic.
What it turned out to be, changing all our lives for the better.
Well, the funny thing is, there's I remember watching some of the behind the scenes stuff for Predator, and you have these kind of in your head of what you think happens at these pre-production meetings, and like they put a lot of thought into all the costumes and things. And it's one of the guys who was a costume designer was just talking about being on a plane with another guy. And the other guy looks at him and goes, it'd be pretty cool. And he goes, what? I don't think I've ever seen anything like have mandibles on, in a movie. And they're like, it would be kind of cool. So it's just like this off the cuff, let's see if mandibles are a thing.
And it works.
And can you imagine the Predator without the mandibles?
And those mandibles also set the stage for something totally new. When that mouth opened up funny, you had
Guillermo del Toro later.
Yeah, later.
With the vampires from Blade 2. With the
it came years later, but there was still a lot of that type thing right afterwards. It was like, we can have a mouth that goes the other direction.
Now, I can't remember, in the first Alien movie, did it have the second mouth already, or was that only in 2?
I can't remember either. I want to say...
Well, now I have to go watch Alien and find out.
I want to say yes, because Whitley had a very close encounter with it on the little ship. It must have... I don't know. You didn't see it a lot.
You didn't. That was the whole thing. It was like
Jaws.
Like Jaws,
it popped in and popped out.
I don't remember if it had the second jaw thing until 2.
I don't. And now we got to go look at it and see. Yeah. You're right. Yeah. That's your homework assignment.
That's my homework. I'll watch Alien.
I'm sorry. We're going to make you watch Aliens again.
Fine.
So you're going to be looks like you're going to be staying late tonight at the office and watching Aliens again. So, can I throw one more thing in there?
Yeah.
Too? You're all set with
I've
movies.
covered everything pretty much.
We're going to start wrapping.
I have a board game later. But
okay, no problem. We got. Oh my gosh, we got so much stuff.
How long have we even been recording?
Who knows? We have fun with this. We get going and we have like this little list of topics, and then it turns out to balloon into like all these other areas that we forgot to do the previous week, or stuff that's new news that's hit. Kind of interesting little psychological horror film I was looking at the other day, and I put the trailer up on the site called The Noonday Witch. And it's I'm just going to read it out there. A story of Aliska and her daughter starting a new life in a remote house with the father away on business, kind of things, the mother claims. After the lie is disclosed, their relationship begins to wither. And at that time, the mythical Noonday Witch begins to materialize. So they've moved into this odd neighborhood, and it's interesting here because you've got a witch and you've got a legend of a witch or whatever, but it's all daytime. And all the shots I'm seeing are daytime shots. So it's and according to this, she's coming closer and closer. And the question is, is she real, or is it the mother's crumbling head? It's almost like the people looked at Blair Witch and they said, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to do the opposite. We're going to do a cool witch, which I liked Blair Witch overall. A lot of people either liked it or hated it. You either got it or you didn't get it. And for this one, it looks like another witch which is showing up or not showing up. Is she really seeing it? Is it really... Because Blair Witch, you were wondering at times, is this really happening, or is it just them? It's something else, or just some guy out there. And in this case, it's daytime versus nighttime. This Blair Witch was always at night, except for that scene with the teeth. And then there was one time in the day that they got screwed. And then this one's mostly in the day, and it's typical. And I asked in the review, too, I said, it's in a farm area, a small town. It's always a small town and a farming community or out in the fields.
Corn.
What is it that's so scary about fields?
Because anything could be in them.
You go out of those fields, and it's always like
he who walks behind the rows.
He who walks behind the rows. There's something in the field. There's something creeping around. Remember signs? That thing. That's all you had to say. Yeah. You don't even have to think twice about that.
That one scene where she says, "There's something outside." And like, no, there's not. And then you look up, and it's on the roof of the barn. I swear to God, if I had eaten anything recently, crap my pants.
Yep. I would have had the. You would have had the shotgun out, blasting everything in sight. You know, I would have been okay. That's it. We're out of here. You grab the kids and run. Well, not till morning, not with that thing roaming around. But then in the fields, you see the foot vanish into the corn, like But he did run on that one. So this one's another example. It's kind of funny. You got the field.
Well, it reminds me. Oh God!
But it's daytime. That's kind of cool.
There's this one movie you kind of reminded me of where you said, "Is it real or all in her head?" And I cannot for the life of me remember this movie title, but Christian Slater's in it. It's a space station kind of deal on the moon, I think. And yeah, it's a moon base. And it's him and this small team of astronauts, you know, taking samples and studying, you know, the effects of living out in space. And a meteor shower happens. And they get hit with like a few meteors. And it hits a container with this gas. And the gas has a side effect that if you inhale it, it causes hallucinogenic reactions. And so a couple of people get exposed to it. You know, it's not lethal, but they just have to kind of take some meds and they'll be fine. But they think that something was in the meteorite, and it's in the base, and it's scuttling around. And, you know, Christian Slater was in the command base, so he wasn't affected by the gas, and he's like, you're not seeing anything. You got hit by the gas. You're freaking out. You just need to calm down and relax. And for a good chunk of the movie, they really play with the notion of, are they really seeing anything, or are they just completely out of their minds because of the gas? And it was this really cool, you know.
And that was like Blair Witch, too. You were thinking at times, like, okay, there's something outside the tent. Is there something outside the tent? But then we find out there really was something outside the tent, and somebody's really bummed about it, too. One of the guys gets taken. So anyway, we just want to throw that psychological horror trailer up. It is there on site. We'll have a link to it. And without going into too much, gosh, we keep saying we're not going to go into too much more, but we always do. I've got a quick. You want to go? You go ahead first.
Yeah, my board game. Last week before, I reviewed Boss Monster, where you play as the boss of a old school 16-bit, you know, arcade dungeony game.
Cool.
And I just recently played Boss Monster: The Next Level, which is a standalone expansion. You can either use it to supplement the original game or play it on its own. And we just played it as on its own, so we could get, you know, how it feels by itself. And it plays virtually identical to the original base game, but they added enough new mechanics into it where it really does feel like it's a new experience, even though you pretty much know exactly how to play it.
Yep.
Still easy to pick up and play. A couple new rule changes keep it interesting. And you can definitely tell that whoever created this game really loved their old school video games. And even the box looks like it's an old worn Nintendo cartridge kind of thing. And so I think it's fantastic. There's 2 expansions after this, which you have to have another one, either this one or the original base game to play. But I think the next game I'll be playing is going to be one called Castle Panic. So I will have that for you hopefully next podcast.
Very cool. We try to cover a little of everything in here. And my game I'm currently playing, which I'll talk about next week, is going to be World of Tanks Blitz. I'm doing it on the phone, and I'm having a little fun with it. So I did World of Tanks on the PC last time. And this time I'm going to give another, just a couple weeks to try it out on the phone. And so far I'm enjoying it. And really quick, wrapping up here. Now we really are wrapping up. Got a little music for you. We got it online too at the Sci-Clops site. Galactic Empire has a new album is going to drop on February 3rd. And they're the guys, when you go see these guys, they're a blast.
Is this the guys who dress up like Star Wars dudes?
They dress up like Star Wars dudes. And the music's awesome. And you got to see the video they do for the Imperial March. Watch the whole video. It's really funny. And they got the costumes down. And I don't know how they do this in the costume. They're watching them play. How do you guys do this? They got a UK tour coming. They got new merchandise. They're showing their gear at their Facebook site. So we're really psyched about it. The album's coming. I supported them on a Kickstarter way back. Really pumped about these guys. They're going to be a lot of fun. I hope they come to the States and do a U.S. Canada tour, but I think they will. They're already got their UK tour dates in, and the last thing is a book I read called Ground Zero, and it's actually online. I was listening to it, and it's really good. It's fun. It was a simple zombie apocalypse book. And I love the
zombies never just want to be friends.
They never want, they never people never die and come back from the dead and want to wash and detail your car for you. It's always they want to eat you. It's like, and these guys, now this is going to probably upset Tom a little bit, but they are slow to fast. They start out slow.
And then they become
faster and
faster.
No! He'd be upset. And Tom gets very angry.
Sorry, I have to kick in here.
It's okay.
There was one movie that did it right. Fast Zombies right. what was it called? Dead Season? I think it was
28
Dead
Days
Season.
Later. It was...
No, those weren't zombies. No, they weren't.
Okay.
They were just crazy people.
Crazy people.
Because you could kill them by shooting them in like the gut or the, you know. But anyway, Dead Season was great. You got bit by a zombie, you die. 10 seconds later, you're up as a zombie and you're running around chasing people.
Yep.
Now, I did not like this at first, but then they show that as time progresses, rigor mortis does set in, and they eventually devolve into the Romero slow, shambly zombies. So I'm fine with that. That's a natural biological process. That's what would happen.
Yep.
Okay? So that's fine. But running zombies like in the Dawn of the Dead remake that like jump 15 feet in the air and they're like on steroids.
Or that horrible thing that Brad Pitt did with
World War Z, where they're piling over each other like an insect mound.
Yeah, insect mounds.
And
superpower zombies.
Zombies do not run.
They don't. Well, Tom doesn't like running zombies. I liked Ground Zero. I thought it was well done. It's basically, it starts pre-apocalypse. I forget. It's a terrorist thing that happens. A terrorist comes over and drops a gas or something. I forget what he injects himself or something.
So he's Patient Zero?
Yeah,
Okay.
He's Patient Zero. And it starts on the East Coast, and of course it's spreading all over the place. And I thought the description was really well. I thought the imagery was excellent. And it's a combination of the zombies going nuts and also the fall of humanity as humans start just falling apart and start acting like monsters. And so I like
every
that.
zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, they do. They got a few people getting together, but for the majority, the strong go after the weak, and the men go after the women, and the women are forced to defend themselves against crazies, men and zombies, and the kids are like swept up in the mess, and the older people are eviscerated, and it's just a mess. And I thought it was kind of cool just to watch. I love apocalypse books; they're fun. So it's a simple read. It's online. I'll have a link to it again. Ground Zero, and I apologize. I can't think of who wrote it, but I will have that online. But the book is called Ground Zero. So apologies to the author. I don't want to. It'll take me 5 minutes to look it all up right now and find out who wrote it. But that's it for the week. I think we've got nothing else. Yeah, that's it. Nothing else right now. I'm just looking over the list here. We're going to move other stuff to next podcast. So we'll see you in about a week. And a lot of new movies coming out, a lot of new stuff coming out, a lot of new comics and
inching closer to Star Wars.
Inching closer to Star Wars. The big one is coming, Star Wars, and that is going to be super exciting. We didn't even talk about Star Wars much today. We usually do on every podcast. So without further ado, love to say that. Have a great week and keep the geek.
See you guys.